I'm going to tie this in with something you mentioned earlier where you said two shows are never the same. You've spoken about how performing the same show in different theaters can take on a life of its own. I'm going to add another dimension to this question. So when Adam Driver was asked about his performance in the Broadway revival of Burn This, he said, there is no right way to do this. At the end of the 4-month play, the last performance was my best one. And I want to tie this in with everything you've just mentioned. Let's assume Hades Sun is happening at the Waltica on 2 consecutive nights. Is it possible that both shows can take on a life of their own, even though they're happening in the same theater? It's the exact same show, it's the exact same story. Do you get that feeling while you're acting that this particular show is now taking a completely different energy, a completely different vibe? Maybe the audience has got to do something, or maybe the actor's mood on that particular day has got something to do with it. Have you ever felt that? And is it possible that if I watch Hades on 2 consecutive nights at the Waltica, I might have 2 completely different experiences?
My parents have now seen the show a couple times, and they've seen it, I think, 3 times now, and they always comment on that. They're like, this was so different. They're like, or like, I didn't notice this before, or wow, the cast really seemed in it in a way that they weren't before. They have felt that energy shift. So I know from an audience perspective that is true. As an actor, I can say without a doubt that happens every time. It's 2 things, and you mentioned both. The audience is different every single night. So that takes on, the audience is this like entity, this life that, theater, it's a 2-way street, right? Like, yes, we're doing it on stage, but it's being received by this group of people. And in turn, they're sending energy back to the stage. And so it's this like beautiful, like almost like cycle that just continues to recycle itself. And so when you get an audience that is, you can tell when they're on the edge of their seat, when they're laser focused, when they're clapping and cheering. And then honestly, there are some audiences that are a little sleepier, that are just a little under energized. And that affects the way that we do the show, right? I think when you're a professional and, it's not that you're going to give a subpar performance, but I think the energy infused within the actors is just different based on that audience, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
I love the way you describe it. It's like this dance between the actors and the audience, and we all feel it. But now that you articulate in that way, yes, it is that this live theater, live mediums just have this quality about it. There's a beat to it, there's a rhythm to it, and the kind of feedback you're taking from the audience, and you can feel it when there's a scene where you just can't wait what's going to happen next. And exactly what you mean. Yeah, I love the way.
Because otherwise, theater wouldn't exist without audiences, right? Otherwise that's what movies are. That's what television is, right? You do the show for a live audience. And in nature, I think that's why television and movie actors love coming back to theater, is because you get that other side that you don't get when you're doing it behind a camera. It's a completely different art form.